welcome to the Productivity Podcast. Sue's back with us again for some more productivity insights. Hi, Sue.
Hello.
So a while since we last recorded one of these, actually, so there'll probably be a few out over the next couple of weeks in terms of us chatting. But today, there's a couple of things to talk about. A secret project we've been working on, which we will reveal. We're going to touch on our Rethink Forum, which is on the 14th of September. But let's start with probably what's on most people's minds at the moment, whether you work in retail, hospitality, contact centre, in an office, is cost. So there seems to be lots of cost conversation in the news, certainly all over the press. So people like Asda are cutting 200 prices, Iceland 500 prices on household essentials, Co-op linking it to members' pricing, which Sainsbury's have done with Nectar. Asda and Morrisons have launched their reward programs and linked that to kind of lower prices for their customers. But that then, if we think about it, tails back into budgeting internal costs, because somebody's got to pay for those at some point. So lots of companies will be coming up to their kind of fiscal budgeting thoughts as we enter August, September, if their year ends in December, or even if it ends in April, they're starting to make those bits. And lots of conversations I'm having, people are being set cost challenges for the last half of the year or quarter of the year. So what are you kind of seeing when you're having those conversations, presenting back results? Is that starting to come through, that it's forefront of mind more than ever?
Yeah, I think it's interesting that it's since COVID that things have kept changing, and this seems like a different phase. And I think people are concerned about ongoing costs. And, there's been some welcome signs that inflation's starting to dip, and perhaps Italy's on mortgages. But everything that's in the press is about prices, whether they're food prices, even discussions about petrol prices, mortgage rates. And things like mortgage rates, they do affect just a proportion of the population. But I think there's so much creates concerns about ongoing affordability of things. And I think businesses are just much more conscious of their managing their costs, because there's still lots of challenges that are happening to people as well. So I think productivity's never been more important, and something that people are thinking keenly about, and being prepared to consider stuff be more radical perhaps than they've been before.
And we've talked on previous ones around the different techniques. So standard minute values, activity study to understand how long things take, efficiency study, great for benchmarking and kind of proportions of time, certainly that where the non-value add is and how much time you spend with customers. But I know something you've been doing is looking around kind of movement and some of the impact that has on process or inefficiencies within process.
Yeah, I think it's interesting that we cannot, because of the elemental detail that we go into when we time processes, we can usually break out the amount of time that's moved. And it's been known for years and years in productivity circles that if you can eliminate unnecessary movement from a process, then it reduces colleague fatigue, and it usually reduces risk of injuries and things. So if people are having to lift and twist things awkwardly, because processes get tighter and people are looking for, more wins in those processes, technology can be a big part of it. Another part easily overlooked, I think, is how you really minimise movement. And from in a huge warehouse, how do you reduce the amount of time that's spent in the aisles between one pick face and another? Look, it can be about 50% of time is spent trucking rather than picking in a warehouse. It can even be down to, we've done really deep using video techniques where you really slow down the process, and seeing the impact of not having a workstation correctly set up. So having things like your knife on the wrong side of the board if you're making sandwiches, or having to reach awkwardly, or not having workstations set up properly so people end up working on the floor, or all those sorts of things. They can be quite hidden, and yet they can have quite an impact in terms of the time in the process.
Absolutely. And you talked about kind of the video study technique, so that would be MTM, methods time measurement. So first bit of new news is Phil, Edward, yourself and myself are now directors of the MTM Association, along with Simon Taylor.
Yep.
So we've forged that close link, and we'll publish more about that over the coming weeks. But that'll be great because it adds a whole new string of methodologies that some of the team are trained in to be able to offer out there. Plus the rest of the team are going through training over the next couple of weeks. So that's a big step forward. New news part 2, drum roll. That book episode. So tell me about the book, Susan.
Yes, it's been a secret project so far. So yes, we're producing a book which brings together some of the insights and things that we'll have talked about on the podcast and produced in white papers and things in the past. But the idea is it's there for people who work in productivity. So it is about productivity. It's not there's a whole bookshelves of things about personal productivity. This is more about organisational productivity and efficiency. And it's written as a series of chapters of, if you're in the operations team of whatever sort of business it is, the sort of challenges the questions you might be asked by the business, and it answers those questions really. So it's there to help people think about some of the common challenges that they get, like actually we need to introduce a new product or free up some time so we can put into new areas and growth. How do we free up that time? Or I've got a cost challenge that I've got to meet. Where should I look? All those there's 10 questions that it covers. So it's intended to be dip in and dip out. It's not a start at the beginning and read through to the end. It's intended to be something that you dip in and out of as you're facing those particular challenges in your organisation.
And that's going to be launched at the Rethink Forum, the 14th of September. So anybody that's registered, maybe there'll be a surprise giveaway. I'm sure you can guess what it is now. And I'm sure Sue and I'll sit there and sign all those autographs on the front page that you're desperate not to have to make it worth zero value in the future. But it's a great piece of work. Great illustration as well. So it looks brilliant. Title?
Every Second Counts.
Oh, there you go. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? So, Forum, 14th of September in Birmingham. Registration is now closed. We're kind of at capacity, 150 plus. If you do want to come, drop myself or Sue an email and we can add you to the waiting list. So it's kind of doubled in size since last year, which is great. Got some brilliant speakers this year. Lots of clients talking about their stories, which hopefully resonate. Some great panels. We've got Diane Well from Springboard MRI again, who kind of set the scene in terms of state of the nation with footfall, trends we're seeing. You'll have probably heard the monthly podcast Diane and I doing at the moment, but she'll bring all that together. Then Dulcie Swanson's back with a client talking about top right thinking. So how those leadership conversations hinder or drive productivity. And then we've got a special guest, Dr. Ian Price, who's a neuroscientist who works with Dulcie, who's going to pull it all together. So that'll be the science behind the theory. So really, really looking forward to those sessions, as well as plenty of time as ever for networking. We'll have the Retime study apps there for you to see, and there's some other special things that we've got planned. So great event. Those who are registered, really looking forward to seeing you. Those that haven't, we can add you to the waiting list. But registration is now closed. And
I think for those people who perhaps haven't been to the forum before, it's a free to attend. It's everybody there works in productivity and is usually very open and happy to talk about the challenges. And I think most people find that even when they're talking to somebody in a different industry, the core of the challenges that they're facing are similar, and they get a lot of benefit from talking to other people. And we both know from experience that when you're working in productivity, you can end up in a kind of a niche corner within the organisation. And to have a room full of over 100 people that all do a similar job to you in a different organisation is just a fantastic opportunity. And we always get really good feedback from the days as well. So people find it a really great event. So if you're not down yet and you think it sounds like the thing for you, then get in touch with one of us.
And if nothing else, the food's really good. You get plenty of time at lunch for networking. We had an unfortunate power cut last year, which took out the whole of Birmingham. So let's hope that's not repeated, although Ian did a great job working through it from Benson's Beds without his slides and unprompted in relative darkness. So, we'll repeat the food, hopefully, and that'll get better. We won't repeat the power cut, and it'd be great to see all those people on the day. So, as Sue said, if you've not registered, drop Sue and I a line and we can add you to the waiting list if somebody drops out for whatever reason, but registration is now closed. So, big news on today then. Book, MTM Association, Forum, and then those bits around movement and how that links into kind of price and cost cutting. So we'll pause there and we'll be back in a few weeks with another chat. Thanks, Sue.
Bye.